Hey, friend. We're happy to have you here. For folks that get situated, we're going to talk about something big. I'm Dr. Kim Gordon, founder of Dr. Kim Answers and BHT's LLC. That's a long acronym that means bringing health equity training to communities of color. So one of the things that's been really important to me as a psychiatrist, as I would say a social activist, as a coach, as someone who does a lot of things in mental health for women of color, but also for children, I'm always trying to tell people how you can lead purpose, right? And so Roxy and I decided to talk a little bit about that and give some updates on what's been happening behind the scenes with Dr. Kim Answers, because we just came back from a Soulful Restoration retreat. And so much came out of the retreat, Roxy, right?
Yes, a lot came out of the retreat, and we can't wait to dive in and include you into our circle, right? We want to bring
Right.
everyone in because everyone needs that kind of experience, I think, no matter what that looks like. So everyone couldn't join us, but people were able to interact with us on WhatsApp. We were making live posts during the event. So hopefully we will have all different kind of engagement throughout this whole year leading up to our retreat again.
Right. And for those people who have been a part of our community, the Rewrite the Narrative community via Facebook, you'll get a backseat tour of kind of what's been happening behind the scenes. And I want to talk a little bit about that today because the topic today is healed to lead, and what God does in the waiting, right? So I was sharing with Roxy and a lot of members of my team that for a long period of my career, I kind of felt like I was in the front. What is it? I was in the public eye, but I also felt like I was waiting, right? Waiting for God to restore healing in me, waiting for opportunities to I guess improve what I thought was my career trajectory at the time, but also waiting for things to like situate itself in my personal life, right? And I know that sometimes we could be going through all of these stages of healing, but maybe not visible, right? Like sometimes when we're healing, nobody knows we're being restored. We're kind of like behind the scenes doing things to take care of ourselves. So I wanted to invite you guys to really think about moments in your life where you were in the process of healing or being restored. So for the ECC family, I'm so glad you're here. And you guys know who you are, the Power Connection Circle folks. So if you're able to put something in the chat or say, hey, I'm here, I'm a part of the Power Connection Circle, do so. We did give some folks a little bit of short notice, so if you're not able to join, you'll see this recording later. But drop your name if you're joining today. We hope to do Facebook Live every week, so this is just the beginning. But I want to see who's in the room. Today we're going to talk about what carried us while we're quietly waiting, right?
Yes.
So I know so many of you understand, if you've been a part of our community, that healing is not just a destination. Like, I mean, I think about the times where I was like, okay, I'm going to be healed when I lose 100 pounds. Things are just going to be better. Or I'm going to be healed when, I get that job that, gives me the type of income I have. Everything's going to be better than I can walk in my purpose. But if healing is not a destination, then we also have to know that everything that happened in our life is a part of the journey. And God is calling you to be equipped for what is ahead by letting you go through these experiences. So Rox, what do you have to say about that? Because I've been saying a lot about what we're kind of going to do, but what's your thought about healing in general in our community?
So I know that we talk a lot about healing, and I just also wanted to say hi to Leticia. We are watching everyone's comments. I have my phone. I have a different screen. So if anyone is willing to drop that in the chat, we would appreciate it, and we'll be able to respond because we can see it in real time. So I think when we talk about being healed and leadership in general, they don't go together, right? Because we see these leaders that dysregulated, not doing rest, not being good examples. And we admire to be like them and esteem to do all the big things they're doing, but we don't talk about the real cost of that, because the real cost is the biggest cost to me, and I know to you, Dr. Kim, because you're a psychiatrist, is you're not enjoying your life. Like, how can you enjoy your life if you hate everything and everyone because it's overwhelming and I got to do this, and then but now I got to make tea for somebody else, I can't even drink it myself. Like, that's like the big first cost. And I think the second is that you don't get to really go in your flow, which is really the retreat put it in a different perspective for me, because I think you can do things, but if you're not enjoying the time, that the real time that it's in, you're not going to show up like as your authentic self that you were destined to. I'm not trying to take over your space, Dr. Kim, but that's one of the things that you have taught me, is you can't just go through and be on autopilot, because not only are you not enjoying it, you're not showing up as your full self. And I'm just thinking about one example of you, like you were celebrating your birthday, and yes, you were there, but when you really were able to rest and be in your space, and I know Leticia is going to say something about this in the comments, you were able to actually enjoy and show up, and you showed me some dance moves.
Ooh, oh my gosh. Y'all don't, first of all, don't record my dance moves, but I haven't danced like that in, I don't know, forever.
All of us
realized, like, whoa, we had like a moment. And I want to, kind of go back to what you said, because I think it's really important in full transparency and accountability as an authentic leader to say that, yes, I've been one of those dysregulated leaders, right? That I've suffered from burnout, where I was responsible for leading a cohort of new upcoming psychiatrists, child fellows, things like that. And even in my other work jobs where I was burned out, right? And it doesn't mean that I was coming to the workplace and being toxic and, mistreating people. But I think when you are not restored and healed, people can experience that. They can see that. They may say to themselves, well, if this is what it takes to be living a purposeful, led life, I don't want that, right? And I think as a Christian, sometimes I would feel a little guilty, because I am telling someone as a patient, my patients and my clients, hey, you can be restored and you can be healed. But there were parts of my life that I had not addressed, right? So I want anybody in the comments to say, if you have been that dysregulated, emotionally dysregulated leader, particularly if you're a Black woman, where you were asked to do and perform and to code switch, you have a hypervigilance fatigue. We talk about that in REST framework, to just kind of say, hey, that's been me. I've been in that position where I was leading from an empty cup. But many high achieving women, especially Black women, learn to perform through their pain rather than, from being healed, right? And that's not strength, really. That's survival mode. And we talk about that a lot in mental health. But survival mode can actually become the way that people show up, even when they're not intending to. Because again, when you get in that mindset, you stay in that mindset. Like, even when things have been better in your life, have you ever noticed that, Roxy, where things are better in your life, things are going smoothly, but your nervous system is still like,
you feel like you can't relax, you can't enjoy it. Yeah,
you can't enjoy your kids, you can't enjoy the weekends. It's like, okay, I got this task to do. And I think because we have become a society that's always performing, right, never authentically resting, that nervous system invite is not coming to us to just rest. Yeah.
And I think you had kind of said something. We a lot of times make fun, give our little kids a hard time when they're dysregulated and having meltdowns. But we can help them process through that, right? We'll tell them, somebody needs a snack, somebody needs a nap, okay, come here, you need a hug. But when leaders are showing up in that space, how do they get that from other people? And it's not to say we can't offer leaders snacks or a hug, but thinking about how they have to show up in a space. They can't always accept that help either. And I know you had talked to us about that in the retreat, and I feel like that's why you made this space. And I don't know if you want to talk about that, like why this space was important to you, because yes, we can say, oh, Dr. Kim, do you want water? Do you want a snack? Do you want this? But even sometimes you have to have your armor on when you're in those spaces. So it's like, I'm good, thank you for asking, blah, blah, blah. But about that safe space that you can relax and be able to take that help.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an important question. And just to say, to introduce this, when I experienced my first case of burnout, it was after getting my dream job and, in my opinion, failing in it. And I wasn't failing in it because I wasn't meeting all my benchmarks or milestones, or I wasn't showing up getting awards or writing papers and all the things. I was failing because I had finally got what I wanted, and that was not bringing joy or happiness in me. And really, joy, I really do believe that joy is an indicator of that. If you're not joyful in the work that you're doing, then maybe that's not the work that you should be doing, or maybe you need to really focus on rest and really reevaluating what your priorities and what your values are, and if those values are aligned with your real purpose, right? And I realized that it wasn't that I wasn't in the right place, but I wasn't in the right position, right? Yeah. I didn't have the right posture in my heart, in my environment, not just in my immediate environment internally, but also externally, to really foster that environment that helped me to enjoy those spaces, right? So in my despair, really, in my failure, in my, feelings of abandonment, because again, when you're in these high positions, when you walk away from it, it's not like people are calling you and saying, hey, are you okay? What's going up? And if they're doing it, they're not actually doing it sometimes for good reasons, right?
Yeah.
But in my despair and taking time to spend time for myself, and it was a long time, you guys, I actually started to go back to the foundation. And the foundation for me was really my faith, right? But also some of the things I had learned in psychology, right? And then I said, oh, wow, this information is so great. It would be so great if I could share it with somebody else. I was trying to think about a way to do it that was free, right? That could bring a lot of people in. And so I created this survey, this wellness survey. And I started sharing with people, and a lot of women of color, particularly Black women who were in leadership positions, psychologists, nurses, doctors, engineers, attorneys, was completing this survey. And it was like, gosh, I never thought about burnout this way. I'm burned out. Yeah. And these are people who actually studied burnout, some of them. So it was fascinating. And I was like, okay, I got to do a masterclass about it. So I did a masterclass. We called it the Rewrite the Narrative Masterclass. People came on. And from that really led me to create this circle, this empowered connection circle. So we can not just rewrite the narrative during a masterclass, but rewrite the narrative over 12 months, right? So the women who have attended the Soulful Restoration Retreat are women who worked with me, individual coaching and group coaching, over the past 18 months, right? Which is amazing. I mean, so amazing that they were with me before my babies were born. And they're 18 months now, so it's actually a little over 18 months. But they came in my life to support me. As a leader, what you brought up earlier is that a lot of times I was faking it. I wasn't okay. Clearly, people who were meant to be mentors or mentees to me could see that I was not okay. They wasn't either, by the way. But when you are saying, oh, I'm okay, when you're really not okay, you're not inviting authenticity and trust in the relationship, right? So I think as a leader, we need to have trauma-informed environments, right? And a trauma-informed environment is not saying that a person as a leader has to have it all together, right? It's actually more inviting and trauma-informed if leaders can be authentically vulnerable with the people that they may be supervising or supporting, and
Right.
saying, hey, this is what it looks like to be me as a leader, and this is kind of what I navigate to heal. What do you do? Like, let's figure this out together. And
Right.
that invite people to see you as a human being and not as a output person, a productivity person, a performance person, but someone who's really not just talking but walking the walk, right?
You had talked about a couple of the steps into rewriting anyone's narrative, but we're talking about Black and brown women. One of the things that I think you said is the survey. And I think sometimes we don't take account, we don't review, we don't ask those questions. And you really went through step by step with your training and your faith on the different levels of that. Because I always think of how when we do personality tests, and it's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. So I think that's why when some doctors and nurses and other providers were going through that, dealt with burnout and trauma-informed care, they were like, oh my, like I am actually burnt out. And then, going through a masterclass and having a virtual space, people got to experience how a space can be when people are in that collective healing language together, area together, and then to dive a little deeper in more intimate space of I have this problem, whatever that is, that really makes that healing, because then you have even more accountability, where rewriting the narrative is, oh, hey, we're all here. If you can't show up, but once you've made that jump to
Oh, you're so funny.
another path of healing, it's like I'm not only saying that I'm worth whatever it is that I've purchased, it's like the other women in the group are on that journey as well. So I think we all don't jump there. So this is not a sales pitch. I'm just saying I know how our brain works and how we matriculate through things. And I don't know, Leticia, what do you think about that? Oh, Leticia actually has a comment in here. To be able to receive when you are in any space where you have little to give. I appreciate what has been poured into me through ECC. So thank you, Leticia. She was right on time.
Oh my gosh. And Leticia has the Ultimate Restoration Collection, so she can actually give tips on how to go. But I will say that the Ultimate Restoration Collection is really for those women who have engaged in some real soul searching, right? Like if you complete a survey and you have burnout, a lot of people don't act on it. Like it's like, oh, it's just information. And they go right back to, life, go right back to the things that they were doing before, and not taking that time to reflect. So I created these frameworks like the REST framework to really invite people to go in an incremental fashion in stages of development, because that's what we all are developing. No one of us is like perfect, in stages of development, so that we can start to incorporate rest, but not feeling like it's a vacation, right? Like it's a destination, but more of it's a journey throughout your life. In Psalms 23, it says, he restores my soul. It doesn't say he restored my soul like it's a period, end, done. He restores my soul. That S behind it means that it's an ongoing active process, right? God doesn't just fix us and send us back out. He walks us through every part of our life, right? So for the women in our community or the women in your community who need, to see you whole, like see me whole, people in my life needed to see me whole, not just capable. A lot of us are capable. We have degrees. Black women, for instance, have the highest earning potential in the world. However, we don't make that money. But because of our degrees, because of our education, because of our experiences, we certainly are those women who are capable, right? But healing is also leadership modeling, right? Once you are healed and you're restored, you begin to become creative. I talk about that, the energized love, rest framework. I don't want to get into teach mode, but as you start to heal, you start becoming creative and innovative in a different way. And for a lot of us, that's actually going to dictate our income, right? Because if I'm not rested, if I'm not energized to create and build multiple streams of income, what I'm doing is actually working on a job and just being in survival mode. Like I'm on a job, I got my benefits, I'm good. Don't ask me no questions. But there's Instagram videos. I don't know if you guys seen this with the Barbie doll looking character, and she's driving her car real fast. She got that stank face, like she mad at the world, right? And we all have been there. Like we're mad at the world, and then we put on that nice face for the camera when we're on that job, but we all know that we're still suffering. So I had to ask this question for this audience, and even for those people who see it later: where in your life are you still waiting for healing? Because that's the key, to know and identify where in your life are you still waiting for healing. And if you can answer that question, are you in a season of waiting? Are you in that season now? And also, has God ever used your healing to help someone else? Right? Has that happened for you? Because I think a lot of times when we're going through things, we ask why. What was the reason for that? And then, down the road, we may discover what that reason is. But sometimes we're in hiding. We don't share our testimonies or those experiences, our stories, so that other folks can actually benefit from what we've learned along the way. And I see additional comment on rest. Let me see.
Yes.
So I had this funny thing happen with a client just recently. 17-year-old kid, recently diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And he was talking about technology. And it was a little bit of delusions. He was saying that, the Illuminati, AI, all of these things are taking over the world. Technology hears everything that I'm saying. And I just kind of, as a young person, I just need to escape. I need to, because I'm just not feeling safe in the world anymore.
Yeah.
And certainly that's a part of his illness. But I began to think about how social media, AI, all these things can confuse people, because really, I believe fundamentally that the creator created all, right? If you have a faith belief, like if you believe in God, you believe that if he created you, he created everything that came from you and anything that was created. So the funny part was, me and my sister, Carlene, we love music. And we were thinking about a song. Well, she was thinking about a song to surprise me during the retreat that would be in line with her topic, which was AI focused. So she added the Clark Sisters. Have you guys heard the song? It's this old song. Computers rule the world, but God is still in control. I love the Clark Sisters. But a lot of times I think in life, when we're going through struggles, we may think capitalism rules the world, DEI efforts rules the world, racism rules the world. All of these things rule the world, right? And then it becomes externalized in a way where our external locus of control is lost, because again, we're putting too much authority to things that's outside of our control versus the things that's inside of our control. So if you guys love the Clark Sisters and that song, Computers Rule the World, play it today, because I think it's actually really in sync with where we are as a society, right? Do we as a society believe that God is still in control? Do we as a society believe that some of the promises we talked about during the retreat, the 7 Ps, right, Roxy? Do you know the 7 Ps? I'm just testing my do you remember some of the P's that we covered during the retreat? Yeah, purpose was one.
I should have known you were going to test me.
Oh, it's not a test. Don't feel bad. Yeah, we talked about paradise. We talked about the paradise, right? We talked about promise. We talked about protection, preparation. We even talked about procrastination, y'all, and postponement. But most importantly, we talked about pillow. We talked about rest, right? We did yoga. We did breath work. We did what
all the things.
We had a second line dance. We did all the things. But before we did all of those things in celebration of having brought rest in our life, we actually did work, right? We did that incremental work through the Empowerment Connection Circle over 12 months. So I'm hoping that I can put in the chat the link for the Empowered Connection Circle, because, it's not cool when you're talking about things, but you don't share it with your audience. But I'm going to make sure that we have that, even if we don't put it in here now, so you guys can have it. But I also want to tell you guys, if you're not interested in the Empowered Connection Circle, and again, maybe it's time constraints or money constraints. Our community, the Facebook group, is open to anybody. Like, you can join the Facebook group, you can get free, support information. You can join my YouTube and start seeing some of the videos that's also going to support people. You can join our newsletter and get like access to freebies and resources that way. And also you can get exposure to the REST framework through that platform. And I'm going to share the links for that because I really want you guys to have access to that today, because I think that journey is worth being a part of.
About your client and AI, because one of the P's AI was like telling you should be added is, what was it? Procrastination. And you were like, no, we're not doing that today, AI. So I think, and that's also part of being in a space where you could be creative to be like, no, I could think of other things better than that. So yes. And I also put the link for, if people are interested in connecting more. And we also put for you to put in the chat, I am worthy of this information right now, of healing, of being in a safe space, in the chat as well. So if you're listening to it now or later, drop that in the chat for us. That will help us get this message to even more people as well.
I mean, that's the whole idea. And I think the reason why I haven't spent a lot of time in social media myself doing live is because I really want this to feel like a community that's safe, that's supportive. And certainly, some people are in that period where they want rest, but they are afraid to show to the world that they need it, right? And part of that is because they may be in high power positions, whereas like, if people know that I'm struggling, then I may not have my job and I have all these people that I have to support with this income. And as Black women, they may be the only person that's bringing real income into their households or into their families. So we have a genuine, I love that, genuine connection circle that is empowering. Put the words on my, we have a genuine Black community that's supportive of each other. I mean, I have women who've lost jobs, who gained jobs. I have women who may still be looking for work. I have women who are in power positions, who are living their best life, but they still have things that they are working on. It's a community of women of all walks of life, but leaders, right? Leaders in every way. So I added the REST framework opt-in page, but you get access to the free REST framework workbook. It's a digital version. If you want the paper copy of the if you want the paper copy of the Ultimate Soulful Restoration or just the REST framework, if you see here, there's 3 different books all in one. So the women who join the restoration retreat, they got them all in one so they can take it over the next, few months and kind of really maximize that resource. But we do offer those resources in a format that is free, right? Yes. Through that link. So it's up there. You guys can take a look at that at your time and your leisure. But yeah, I want to go into some more detail. We asked you guys before to really think about the places in your life where you still need healing. And I also asked you to, put some comments about that. But I want to, close with an intentional live prayer, right? And I will have to say, as a Christian leader, as a, psychiatrist, as a, I'm even a hypnotherapist, not many people pray live, right? Like, that's not a thing anymore, unless you are a pastor or something. But really, prayer is a form of meditation, regardless of your, religious beliefs or background. It's a way to stay connected to the source that gives you strength. And for me, that's Jesus Christ. But for you, that may be something else, right? So I want us to say this declaration together. And I'm going to put it in the chat just so you guys can actually see it. And, take it with you today as a way to affirm what you know to be true, even if you don't, see us again. So let me go back so I can read it. I declare that I am not behind. I'm not broken beyond repair. God is doing a deep work in me, and I will not rush the process. My healing is holy. My restoration is real, and I will lead from wholeness. I think that's what I wanted to do today, is just to invite us to lead from wholeness. Because when we lead from wholeness, we can be uh, aware of what is happening in our lives. And I think part of it is gratitude, right? I'm very grateful for even my failings and disappointments and heartbreaks and loss and grief. Today, I can say I'm grateful because I know that I would not be who I am today if I had not experienced those things. I don't know, Rex, do you want to say something? Uh,
I realized I missed a opportunity to share that as well. Like when you say, where am I with my healing, in a real way, still pressing for it, not perfect. But the other day I went for a walk, right when were texting, and I said I need to take a break, and I just felt like I was finally free from, not to say I'm perfect, but I think at a time when I would get overwhelmed and have meltdowns, I would still be stuck there. And now it's like yesterday, I really, really felt like I don't care, even if I don't show up in this perfect way, like I would always want to. It's like sometimes I just need to get done and be happy with the fact that I'm done.
mhm.
And that has a lot to do with age as well. And since we're all in that same age, that's what makes it like freeing, that I can talk to you about this. I can talk to Leticia about, like, we just picked up because we're in that same time. So for me, just trying to be happy with my real self and not keep picking at it. Like, oh, I should have said this. I should have done this. I could have done more. Oh, I should have probably reached out to this person.
I mean, it really has been intentional. Like, for instance,
Yeah.
me incorporating self care means that, yeah, I may have a schedule. We all kind of have a schedule, but I may go off that schedule. I may pivot, or I may just be in a place where I can't show up the way I would like. But that is a part of like life, right? And if we have compassionate inquiry for like what's happening with us, and also have a little, positive regard for ourselves, we get to recognize that in a non-judgmental way, that was the work, right?
Yeah.
It was the work. Because like, what if you had blown up, right? What if you had projected whatever feelings you were having onto someone else? Then that person may not have had an opportunity to restore or to heal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have these assignments, we have these calls, we have these gifts, but we also have this opportunity every day to rest. If you grew up in church or you were PK kids, like on the seventh day you rest. Well, he's God. He can rest on the seventh day, but guess what? You're human, so that means you need to rest every day.
Every day.
Every day needs to be a part of your thing. You guys have read the books Rest is Resistance. You probably heard Audre Lorde. You heard a lot of these people say it. But as women, as leaders, if we do not invite rest, you see what's happening in our social milieu,
Yeah.
in our world. We cannot show up in those spaces to actually confront, right? Come back if we need to, convict if we need
Yeah.
to, clarify if we need to. We need to be able to speak up authentically without fear.
Yeah.
And my sister reminded me of this, which I love Carlene for telling me, is that what did Jesus say when people would come to him with problems, right? And they did. What would he always say, right? If you know, I know Leticia knows. She probably knows. She's gonna say this, but so Leticia always be knowing some stuff. But
Very wise.
do not be afraid.
Yeah.
Do not be afraid, right? And when my sister asked me this question, she thought I wasn't gonna know. She thought she was gonna teach me something. I said, "Girl, do not fear. Do not be afraid."
Right.
But I'm in a psychiatry spaces, so I know that the number one thing that comes up for people, particularly our young folks, is fear.
Yeah.
Right? I'm afraid. I'm afraid of what other people are going to think about me. I'm afraid of what happened if I try and I fail. I'm afraid if I, was able to lose 100 pounds and I gain those pounds, people are going to look at me a certain way.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that if I pivot and go into another job, I may lose my income. And then what would I do if the income is lost? All of these fears, right, maybe need to be reassigned, or I guess put in another pocket, like compartmentalized, and recognize that sometimes fear is a way to activate you to move in a new direction.
Yeah.
Sometimes fear is a way to remind you that God is in control and that maybe you're not trusting, him more. But wherever the fear is in your life, we have to cast it down and we have to like name it, but then also say that it doesn't live here. Oh, amen to the declaration. And she says, being real, relevant, relatable, and reasonably responsive to one another. We are in collective healing community, not in judgment or in our ego. Amen to that.
And I think when we're not in that collective community, we see so many awful, horrible, like, okay, us having a meltdown with our kids or with our spouse, but not being able to reel back in, like can have really dire consequences, which is our kids not feeling loved, our spouse not feeling cared for, or like, and not to be dark, but it can escalate to be so much more because we're not managing the emotions the right way. And I think, like you said, like now more than ever, we have to be really intentional about our healing. And if we're not intentional about our healing, are we really okay?
Yep. And I can tell you, I was not intentional at a stage in my life, so I was not okay. And if you had asked me at the time if I was not okay, I don't even know if I would have been able to
see that,
to see it, right? So it's okay if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I don't even know what you're talking about, right? Like, because it may be that you need that break or that time or experience to really fully reflect and observe yourself, right? And again, this is not in a judgmental way, but in a way of like honoring that if I don't embody me physically, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, right? All the different parts of me, I may have an arm that's working, but a leg is broken, right? And for those people who have physical disabilities or invisible disabilities, you know how that is when you have a part of you that you have to compensate for another part, right? And that's okay, because I mean, I know I'm a wounded warrior. I have parts of myself that I can't get back that time, right? It's not about getting back time, but in God's language, when he said restore, he will bring back all of those things in a way. I'll give a good example, and then I think I'm going to close on that comment just because I want to, honor our time and give you guys 15 minutes to go and do something else, go get your restroom break, go back to your job, all of that. But, one of the things that happened with me in my career is that I neglected my physical health as it relates to having children, right? And so when I was, not that it was all my fault, because obviously if you are in medicine, we are in Black Maternal Health Month. Week. We're in that week right now. And many Black women have had fertility issues, gynecological issues, and haven't received the proper support or guidance, right? My parents, if they were still living at the time, they probably would have been telling me, your clock is ticking. You need to prioritize that. But how can you prioritize your fertility when there are things in your life that's assaulting you, microaggressions on the job, trying to, take care of your family. And before you know it, your hair's falling out, or you're gaining weight, you're developing diabetes, hypertension, whatever, which is all stress hormones and stress reactions, right? And that's going to impact your ability to, carry and receive a child, right? But even in that, God can restore, right? He did it for me. I have beautiful twin girls. I know he can do it for others. But I don't think I would be here today with those twins if I had had the opportunity to rest.
Nope.
If I hadn't actually taken the opportunity to rest. I remember sending that email to a large group of leaders, all a part of the academic community, like, hey, I'm taking a sabbatical. And it wasn't a sabbatical that was given to me. It was a sabbatical that I gave to myself. And so when I asked, I'm going to say this on National Live, when I asked the leader of this organization, academic organization, if I could stay on as a part-time or stay on as like maybe voluntary, they said no, because you took a sabbatical. You took a sabbatical without asking permission to take a sabbatical. And I thought to myself, here I am trying to offer work
free help.
Free help. And you
Free
reject
good help, because aren't you multi-board certified?
Yes. And you rejected because I took a sabbatical on my own and I decided to do that. So we do have women who are in leadership roles who really get angry when you decide to rest for yourself.
How
But
dare
their
you
thing
take
is,
rest and
how
not
dare
want to
you?
die? What's wrong with you? It's so silly. That's the way we got to think about these things. Like, what? Are you okay, ma'am?
Are you okay? But I wouldn't change a thing in my life. For all the Black moms and the Black babies,
Yes.
we salute you. We celebrate you. We know that, you know, this is a time where some of us may have lost babies or even lost loved ones because of complications related to, you know, I don't know, gestation or, you know, the birthing process. But wherever you are, celebrate your baby, celebrate the women in your life, celebrate you. And I invite you to rest. Join our link, opt in and get an invitation to see more about what the REST framework is about and get those freebies. But also see us again for Facebook Live next time. I want to thank Roxy.
Yes, thank you for having me join. I hope this was an encouragement for everyone that you can always rewrite your narrative, right? It doesn't have to be the same old narrative about what you've been through, what you wanted. Like, we can at any time change that. So I hope that you really, 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 really lean into that idea today. Go outside for a walk for your 15 minutes and reflect on that. It's never too late to rewrite your narrative.
Yeah, rewriting.drkimanswers.com /rest.videos. But you can find it.
You did.
You can go to Instagram and get that link as well. But thank you guys, and I hope that you have a good day and get your 10 minutes back to take care of yourself.
Thank you, Latisa.
Thanks, Latisa. Good to see you.
You know, I gotta make my little plug.
You know, I was doing Psalm 23. I thought I was ready to see. Look at the back. The Lord is.
Oh, nice.
Wait, let me go all the way back so you can see.
You have the cutest gear.
Yay. But next time I'll have my other gear ready. Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye.